Hello and welcome to the Heresy Lodge. I'm your host, Dylan Cooper, the constant co-host over here.
Gavin Franklin.
And guys, we are here this week to preview Slaves. Is it 2 or of?
2.
Slaves 2 Darkness from John French. And
Chaos Undivided.
I'm a fan of John French.
John French does it very well. I think John French writes stuff that people want to read about.
Yes,
He's
and
good at
he
that.
doesn't like throw in a bunch of like unnecessary stuff. Like Return of Dorn, also not that long of a book. Very good. Everything's like constantly moving. This book, I'm 40% of the way through. Not very long. Everything keeps moving.
Yeah, I think he's very good at writing groups of Primarchs, like writing Primarch interactions. A lot of other authors seem to like shy away from it because they're focused on one specific Primarch. But this guy's like, no, I can do them all well. And he does. He does a very good job. Fucking love Porter Rabo, man.
Porter Rabo is so cool. Honestly, I just love the Iron Warriors. They're just such like snarky assholes, and they're so dry. And that's just my humor too.
But they're just good at their jobs. Like you can't
get
mad at them because they're actually good at the jobs.
Yep, big fan. Before we get too far into the book, as always, our housekeeping things. Check us out on our Discord. We have a weekly movie night on Saturdays. Sometimes we have hobby time. Whatever else pops up, we're there. It's a good time.
Tacticus group, all kinds of stuff.
Yes, speaking of Tacticus, if you are players, check out the Pants of Forest Discord. We are part of their cluster. Cool guys. They also promote our shit, so check them out. Twitter at Heresy Lodge. Email theheresylodge@gmail.com. We have merch. Check it out. Buy yourself something nice. We have tips enabled on Twitter. We're on YouTube. Go over there, like, subscribe, leave comments, hit the bell. Those are things that people say. We're not very good at promoting our stuff. That's all we got.
Just take the money away from Dylan's children. Pull it out of their mouths.
She doesn't deserve it. Oh, she does a shit.
Pathetic. I can do that. What are you drinking today, sir?
So I was at the liquor store perusing the aisle, and I saw a staple beer. It's all by Sam Adams, but there's something different about the Sam Adams. It said the word remastered on it. So apparently Sam Adams has redone their Boston Lager. So I had to get it and try it out. Opinions. I kind of wish I had the original in front of me to also drink next to it. This one
that'd be good.
Tastes more bitter, I think. Like it kind of has like a little bit more hoppiness to it. I don't remember the other one having any like hoppy taste to it.
I feel like I heard something about Sam Adams making a big change recently. Maybe it was the fact they were remastering their beer. Yeah, interesting. So
good.
I have been going to tons of breweries. We just got our first meadery in Lexington. Went to there. It was dog shit.
Oh,
it's terrible mead. I feel bad for saying that, but one thing that meadery does that no other meadery I've ever seen does, and they do it well, is they make mead cocktails, and it's delicious. Yeah, how they go through that. So that is exciting. They do like mead slushies, which totally works out.
That's about that meadery I went to in Dallas.
Yes, but I don't remember.
It wasn't good. It was just so fucking sweet.
Yeah, exactly. Either you get like super syrupy mead, or you get very like
boozy,
watery mead, where it's like very almost tastes like a citrus drink. And I prefer the boozy mead. The boozy mead is my favorite type of mead. I like it when it's stronger.
I like it when it's 60%, and after like 3 little horns, I don't know where I'm at.
Perfect. So I went to all these different places and I didn't get fucking anything. So now I'm drinking more wine that's in my fridge. I always need to I do so bad for the past like half year. I'm not even talking like recently, half a year. I go to all these different places, and multiple times Katie has been like, "You want to grab something for the podcast?" And I'm like, "Nah, nah, this is the last time I'm ever gonna drink in my life."
I
So I
pretty much make like record day like the only day of the week I drink, and it's normally like 1 or 2 beers.
well, that's great for you.
Well, I also don't have in-laws that or an in-law that is really into drinking.
Yeah, we might be going to do some bourbon tour tasting tomorrow.
Oh, that sounds fun.
I mean, it is some fun. So I'm drinking Lover's Leap blueberry port wine. I love port wines. Well, this is blueberry table wine,
That
but
is different, sir.
yeah, it's different. It's 12%.
Table wine is juice.
Yeah, this is super fucking sweet.
How's your
It
blueberry
literally
juice?
does. I feel like my
It's like
teeth are starting to
Welch's.
turn
Yep.
blue. Yeah, I feel like this is probably Katie's, but it's been in the fridge. This is why I can't stand. Okay. I'm
Oh,
gonna vent for a minute.
I also have the same problem. So
So,
much
so
wine, and she was pregnant, so I
yeah,
couldn't get drunk.
tons of wine. And this kills me. She'll put like a bottle of wine in the fridge for her, but it'll be sitting there for like 4 months. And I'm like, okay, you've lost those wine privileges because I can't put wine in the fridge for the past 4 months because that's taking up the wine spot. And she's the type of person, I don't know how people do it. They're so well, like, what's the word I'm like, disciplined. She's so well disciplined. She'll buy a box of Oreos and she won't eat it for like 4 months. I could eat a box of Oreos in a week easy. And I
Yeah.
typically do.
See, what I have to do
Kills
is
me.
like, if something goes into like the cabinet, the likelihood of me going back to the cabinet's low. So once it's in there, like it's just gone to me. But if it's out there in public, I'll take it.
My willpower exists at the store, not in the kitchen.
See, I'm just so lazy that once it's out of sight, it's out of mind.
Oh yeah, I guess that's
Like,
one way to do it.
I can't see it. It doesn't exist.
See, I feel like it happens like the same way, but almost opposite to me. I'm so lazy that when I go to eat lunch, I'm like, I don't even want to make myself a
Where
sandwich.
are those Oreos? Those already
I
cooked.
could just put the Oreos right in my mouth, and that satisfies my cravings. So, Slaves of the Darkness. This book is pretty phenomenal. It follows Lorgar and Portorabo on their journeys. They were ordered by the War Master to go pick up their
Was it the War Master?
kind of sorta. They were ordered by Malagurst, who was ordered by the War Master because the War Master's all fucked up.
In a
To
very
basically,
confusing way. We talked about this
yes.
before we started recording. So this book takes place after Titan Death, which is Beta Gammon. Problem is,
Really
this
annoying.
book is talking about the injury that happened to Horus from Leman Russ.
Mm-hmm. Which is before Beta Gammon.
Yes. And what's even more confusing is after he got stabbed, he went on a rampage through the ship, killing like thousands of space wolves without a fucking problem. And now he's like
Yeah.
deathly wounded.
At the end of Wolfsbane, he heals.
Yeah.
And it seems like he's all good. And I was like, what's the point of that book? But now it kind of seems like that was only temporary. Like who wrote Wolfsbane?
Wolfsbane was Gav Thorpe? Question mark.
Gav Thorpe. It's like Gav and John didn't talk to each other.
Maybe Guy Haley.
And Guy Haley, yeah.
Guy Haley.
So
Man,
Guy
I
and
think
John
we
didn't
missed
talk
it
to each
up
other.
during the recording too, both times because I kept forgetting the name.
Guy and Gav, like, what are you gonna do? But yeah, so John French, I think there was some miscommunication, or maybe the concept is like he's like injured and he's fine, but then it's like festering and it gets really bad over time. I feel like that's what they were shooting for.
Yeah, he forgot to take his antibiotics. Put some Neosporin on there.
So Malagurst is basically in charge of like handling all of the War Master's demands, and he goes to talk to Mortarion. He's like, "Hey,
Do we
we
think
need
it's weird
somebody."
that's Malahurst and not Abaddon?
Well, Abaddon's gone.
Which is weird. Oh yeah, he was at the chase after
Lehman
Lehman.
Russ. and we see
Right.
him in Korax, which is the
Still,
sequel
I think I
to.
would have trusted my Mournival over Malagurst, but maybe I just don't see it in Malagurst.
I mean, we've seen in the past, in the short story The Twisted, Horace, even as fucked up as he is, still really likes Malagurst. Malagurst is his bro.
Yeah,
Malagurst has been his bro.
which is weird. I
Yeah,
just
I
don't
mean,
see it.
you also have to think like the Morning Bull isn't really the Morning Bull anymore. The only one that's there that's like really the Morning Bull is Axamon.
True. Then he's a little fucked up now.
He's a little fucked up, yeah. So I think Malagurst is like a good go-to.
That's fair.
But you see him talk to Mortarion, and Malagurst is like, hey, we need you to. He wants everyone to come to Olinor. Horus wants everybody to come to Olinor. And Mortarion said, fuck you. And then didn't That's really what happened.
Yeah,
And
basically.
then Mortarion does not go to Olinor. He's the only one of the only Primarchs, Traitor Primarchs, that doesn't make a major appearance in this book. It's just a short appearance.
Well, I mean, I'm
The other,
assuming he's going after Typhus anyway, because that was the
so
last we heard of him.
it's a little confusing. It gets told to us multiple times throughout this book that Mortarion is on his way to Terra, which might be true, but at the end of Path to Heaven, he was like, I'm gonna go find Typhus.
Yeah, and I mean, I really doubt that Barry Dagger starts off with him in fucking Terra.
Yeah, I
Gets to
doubt that
Terra,
too.
and next thing we know, he ends up as 40k Mortaria.
Yeah. So I'm trying to think. The other Primarch that doesn't show up in this novel is Conrad Kurz. He's still in
He's
space.
busy.
He's still just floating around, chilling
Honestly, that's
out.
such a genius move to do. Too bad that he's gonna get found because space isn't big enough apparently.
Yeah, we are aware of this. The Chaos Gods, I guess, really like Conrad. Whenever shit
Everyone should
needs
like
to
Conrad.
happen. Yeah, whenever shit needs to happen, you either go to Conrad or Portorabo. Right now, they just need Portorabo.
Which is fair.
Yeah, I mean, basically the way the story goes, Malagurst is requesting aid from Lorgar and Portorabo to fetch the two Primarchs, um, which is what's his
Angron
face,
and
Angron and
Fulgrim.
Fulgrim. Yeah, and Malagurst was talking. I love like the conversation where Malagurst is like, "Oh, who do we send?" And he's like, literally, Lorgar is like, "Well, we could get Conrad, but I'm suspecting he's long gone. So let's just forget about Conrad." And then Lorgar's like, "Well, Portorabo can go help us get somebody." And Malagurst is like, "Yeah, Fulgrim." Lorgar's like, "I don't think that's a good idea." I
Those
think
guys don't
those
like
two
each
are.
other right now.
Yeah, those two are not on terms. So why don't we have Portorabo get Angron and I'll go get Fulgrim? And oh, lo and behold, Lorgar's being a little bitch.
Who would have thought?
Now, Lorgar in this book is written pretty well. There was actually a moment in this book that I was like, hey, maybe Lorgar isn't a bitch. And then I was wrong. He's a total bitch. And it's amazing how much like it just slaps you in the face with how much Lorgar's a bitch. Like John French was like, I really want to write a scene where Lorgar's a little bitch. And he did it. And it's amazing. Like he gets
I can't wait to
everything
get
that
to that
comes to
scene.
him. It's so good. It's fucking awesome. Um, so yeah, Lorgar gets what's coming to him in this book. I don't want to spoil too much, but this may be the last time we see Lorgar in the Horus Heresy.
I can see that. Is I mean, we know obviously Lorgar's a massive traitor. He's the one that kind of started this domino effect.
He is the first
But is
heretic.
he of like all the traitors? I mean, obviously they're all bitches. But is it the most backstabby bitch of all of them?
Oh yeah, he's the backstabbiest of bitches. It's so funny.
Because I mean,
Oh, it's
he
so
he
funny.
got Angron fucked up.
He
He
got
wants.
Angron real fucked up.
I
He
mean, he got.
really backstabbed the Ultramarines.
Yeah,
He
he's a
created this
bitch.
whole thing. Now he's trying to perform the ultimate bitch move by maybe backstabbing Horus. We'll see how that works for him. I don't know. The book series is called the Horus Heresy and not the Lorgar Heresy. So I guess we'll see how that works for him.
Turns out Lorgar has been Horus the whole time. Or it's just Alpharius.
It could be Alpharius, who also makes an appearance in this book. And it
Hell
is,
yeah.
I would love to talk about it. It's really interesting because this book definitely takes place after Praetorian Adorn.
Okay, I can see where that's going.
Mm-hmm. So that's interesting. We also do get Magnus in this novel.
Ooh, Maggie boy, the big red guy.
The big red guy. We do see a little bit of him, although he's not red yet, which is
Yeah.
interesting. I don't know if we get Magnus's demon ascension in the Horus Heresy.
I honestly
Unfortunately,
just assumed he was always red.
no, he's like copper. I don't
Ooh.
like. He doesn't look the way he looks now in 40K. He doesn't have wings, that's for sure.
If you look at the cover of Fury of Magnus, though, I thought his skin was red in it.
Maybe. I think in Fury of Magnus, though, Fury of Magnus was like a acid trip. So maybe that's like Magnus tripping into his future self.
Yeah, I mean he's very red in it.
Oh, so that's the one in Siege of Terra.
Yeah. What
Yeah, he
was the
doesn't
other
have the
one?
wings.
What was the Horse
Uh
Heresy one?
oh crap.
Something to
It's
Magnus.
I don't know. There's 1,000 Suns, and then there's Fear. The Fury of Magnus is the one in Terra. I don't
Crimson
remember the
King.
name of it. Crimson King. There you go. Could have looked.
Yeah, I was about to say, look at your fucking bookshelf, you asshole. Yeah, he's red in this one too. Yeah, his outside nipple showing. But
Does
more
he like?
nipples.
Maybe the viewers can tell us this, but like, does he go through a demon transformation, or is like the dude we have in 40K just like it's just like Magnus? Because I remember in Thousand Suns, like one of the opening scenes, you have like Lumiel coming over this like rock, and he sees this like evil image of Magnus in the future, and it's not the Magnus that they had then. So did he go through like a demon transformation when Lehman Russ broke his back, or was it just like you get what I'm saying? Because
Yeah,
Lumiel
well,
had a
he can
whole
change his image how he wants, I'm pretty sure.
yeah.
It's
I don't
also
know.
like how he changes his size and shit. So maybe he's just like, I
I
want wings, and grew wings.
more fucking wings.
Fucking
give me
Sanguinius had him. That look badass.
give me like the biggest dick around. Walking around.
Yeah, see that? Yeah. I made more than my legs big.
Give me 3 eyes. I don't give a shit. We're getting
Cyclops no
crazy.
more, bitch.
So I am curious if the viewers will let us know like what happens to Magnus's transformation, because we obviously get a demon transformation for Fulgrim and the shards up his ass and the lights coming out of his eyes, and then we get the badass demon transformation of Angron where he's like literally drowning in blood.
Yep.
I don't think I got that from any of the Thousand Suns books, but
There's another one, which if you put a tabletop, you also know about.
yeah, I can't wait to read that one. That's going to be very interesting.
Yeah.
So let's go through the list of characters here, because we can kind of backtrack. If we recall, we'll first arrive at the Sons of Horus. So the Sons of Horus backstory right now is obviously Horus is a bad guy.
What?
He gets like tracked down by Lehman Russ in Wolfsbane and beats the shit out of the Space Wolves. But Lehman
Yeah,
Russ
it
is able to
does.
like score a hit on Horus. And the spear that he wounded him with causes him to be like mortally wounded. Like
Yeah,
it's
what
like
is
a
the spear special power? It like shows him like Lehman.
It
Something hard.
shows Horus like is the truth is what it's supposed to be,
Yeah.
essentially. And so like Horus is like either his eyes are open to like how fucked up he's become and how fucked up the chaos gods are, which is just like hilarious because all you gotta do is look around. Like it's not like they hide it from you.
But what's also even more confusing is in this book it talks about how Horus takes the field in Beta Gammon.
Mm-hmm. So we do get told
Was he
that.
fucking limping around like fuck fuck?
Well,
And
we
then just
do
like
get told that
collapse?
like he does take to the field in Beta Gammon, which again is apparently Titan Death, which is like, why would you do this? Like release Titan Death first.
No,
Because
no,
now
that makes sense.
I'm dreading to read Titan Death. And
I
like
was dreading it before because I'm assuming it has a lot of Titans in it. And I hate Titan
the
fights.
the whole concept of this Beta Gammon Titan Death story is starting to lose sense because the concept behind Beta Gammon was it was like a gateway to Terra. And then all of a sudden Horus is like, fuck that. Let's go to let's go to Olenor. At the beginning of this book, like, sir, we've taken the gateway. It's like, all right, pull out.
Oh, well, okay, I guess.
Yeah, they take this gateway, and you'd think like all of the fucking legions are mustering at Olenor. So you think Dorne would be like, oh fuck, like let's go put a few more guns on Beta Gammon. Like
Yeah, that makes sense.
there's no one there right now. So I think it's very strange. I really hope Titan Death makes sense after this book.
I
So
wouldn't be surprised if it doesn't.
that's where Horus is. It says Abaddon's in this book. Abaddon is definitely not in this book.
His name's mentioned once, I think.
Maybe. Abaddon's off chasing Corvus Corax and Lehman Russ. So hopefully Abaddon makes his way back. I'm assuming he does.
Yeah, I'm pretty positive he's at Terra.
Now we have Horse Axmund, Falcus Kyber. They are both part of the Morning Bull. There's a little bit of a power struggle, like you were alluding to earlier, between the Morning Bull and Malagurst, the whole like equerry.
Yep.
Now we get to someone, his name is Callus Ecodon, and it was so confusing to me because Eidolon is in this book, and Ecodon is in this book, and Ecodon is a new character.
Yeah, I thought that it was, and I was like, maybe I remember this from a short story.
No, Ecodon is a new character. He's the son of Horus. He was brought into the Legion by Malagurst. And so he owes a bit of allegiance to Malagurst, and that kind of comes into play with the whole rivalry between the Morning Bull and Malagurst. And Ecodon is a character that's part of the Reaver Squad. He likes to fight with knives, which in the 40k universe is actually the dumbest weapon to fight with.
Sir, they're shooting at us with missiles. I
Draw
got a
your
knife.
knives. Even today, like even our current military technology, they're like, should we like take out our knives? And they're like, use a pistol.
Yeah, I mean I'm sure they all have like combat knives, but it's probably very, very, very rare that those are used.
Exactly.
Except for cutting like fruit.
Then you have Argonis, who is the person that was in Talarn. So Argonis, we can kind of tie this into the backstory of the Iron Warriors. If we remember the first time we saw the Iron Warriors, they were shoving shards up Fulgrim's ass and they didn't like it. So they got out of there. And the Iron Warriors wound up at a planet called Talarn where they did a bunch of fighting. And one of the main story points of that was nobody knew why they were at Talarn. Turns out Port Rabo was searching for a weapon to fight chaos because he doesn't fuck around with that.
Respect.
Yeah. And Argonis is the War Master's emissary who basically comes in and is like, yo, fuck that weapon. We need to go. And he kind of makes Portorabo kneel to Horus. And that's where Portorabo ends up just kind of fighting some people in Ultramar, apparently.
Yeah, the thing too about Portorabo is he like admits that like it's his own flaw that he's loyal.
Mm-hmm. He kind of hates it because Like literally, Horus would be nowhere without Portorabo, and quite frankly, the Emperor would be in fewer places.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
it's talked about a lot too. Like they like do their jobs really well. It just no one apparently gives a shit about them.
exactly. And Portorabo is really, in my opinion, kind of like the main center point behind the theme of slaves to darkness. Because Portorabo is the Primarch that's fighting the concept of the Imperium and chaos, but kind of in a losing battle. Like he never aligns himself to the right spot to do the right thing. And like he's just always like taking an L slightly, like
Yeah.
slightly losing everything, but still losing in the end. Then we're going to the Emperor's Children. If we last remember the Emperor's Children, they were getting charged up to full blast. That's pretty much all that there is to it. There's no Emperor's Children that are really talked about here. Edelon, in particular, is off doing his own thing because he thought Fulgrim was getting a little too weird.
Which I get it.
Fair enough. Edelon's like, listen, I was like made to beat things up, and I got this cool vocal screeching thing that I
Look,
want to
guys, you
use.
guys cut my fucking head off and then brought me back to life, and then you shoved shards up Fulgrim's asshole. This is too much for me.
I got fucking.
We don't have
I'm
any
just gonna.
psychologists here, and all I know what to do is just fuck off.
I'm gonna go kill some white scars. That
that
sounds like a
that
lot more
sounds like
fun.
normal. They don't
Mhm.
do weird shit.
We do get like a very slight mention of Lucius in this story. Um, it's kind of funny that both Angron and Fulgrim have like an ability to just like call everyone across the galaxy, but it's not like a telecom thing. They like Fulgrim's like Angron does like a roar.
Rawr,
And all the world
rawr.
leaders are like, okay, we're going to Olador. So then you have the Iron Warriors, who we did talk about. You have Forex, who's another. He's like the main character, not the main character. He's like the second in command. One thing that really frustrates me about these books is it introduces really cool characters and never fucking talks about them. This is like the second Iron Hands book we get after the first one. Where the fuck is Kruger?
Yeah, I also wondered that because he was
No
the
idea.
main character of Angel Exterminatus.
We have like a short story with him and that dude that's Iron Fire.
After
He's an
Iron
Iron
Fire, they're like,
Fire.
man, that dude's career is dead.
Yeah, Kruger knew his career was dead. He was sitting there like during the Iron Fire and he was like, what the fuck is this?
Why are they're shooting like our own guys are basically shitting at us, right? Like Iron Fire. Fucking god damn it.
Jesus Christ. I'm never gonna be in another book again. All
I'm
right.
demoted.
This sucks. Then we get Volk, who was the main character in Talorn. I like Volk. He's like a fighter pilot. Some shit happens to Volk, and I will tell you that like it's probably my least favorite part of the story. We know Volk now in 40K. We know him in Tacticus. That is who that is. So we do know that shit happens to Volk, but I don't like how it happens. It kind of like weakens Portorabo in my mind a little bit. But
I
like I
think
said, he's
isn't he
always
like
losing.
already like turned into an obliterator at this point? Because it talked about how he had like his skin was growing weird and like does he have like fucking machine guns on his shoulder now?
Who?
Volk. I thought they mentioned that like at the beginning of his
That was
story.
Portorabo.
Oh.
Portorabo's all fucked up. Yeah. So Portorabo's definitely like I said, like constantly losing, but like barely. Like he's not a demon prince and he doesn't like chaos, but like he got some pipes in some weird places there, bud.
That's a new dick.
You really been doing a lot of upgrades. Like you're like a weird Iron Hand mix where you're like flesh is still cool, but as long as it's like augmented with some crazy shit. So many times. So I'm gonna say this multiple times in this. I fucking love Porterabo. So many times in this like book, and anytime you read about Porterabo, like something will happen, and then he'll just be like, he'll do exactly what you want him to do. But he'll be in the middle of a conversation with somebody, and he'll be like, "Oh, is that it?" They're like, "Yeah," and then just fucking blows them away without lifting a finger. um, I think like one of my favorite scenes still is from Angel Exterminatus. Remember that scene where he brings Fulgrim into the room where he's
Oh
working
yeah,
on the
it's very fucking like the pencil trick in The Dark Knight. Where he's like, look at
yes. He's like, come take a closer look, listen to it. Just bangs his fucking head on the floor.
this.
I'm like, oh, that's such a
Yeah,
poor
that was
Rabo
when we were
thing.
comparing him to Wilson Fisk because we had watched The Punisher recently.
Wilson Fisk would be the perfect. Oh man, what is his name? I feel like I need to know.
I don't know.
He was in Full Metal Jacket, and he's like the big crime guy. But anyway, yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah,
That would
just
be awesome.
and I'm pretty sure he's just a big motherfucker too, which should just be perfect person to star Porterabo.
Yeah. Then we also have the World Eaters. So, like I said, the Iron Warriors are going after the World Eaters, and absolutely love the World Eaters. You do see Karn like a
My boy.
second.
Oh.
And yeah, well, you see him, and like Karn's like definitely all the World Eaters are fucked at this point. They're all fucked, but Karn is always the least fucked.
Yep.
So he like shows up and he's like, "You guys got to get the fuck out of here." He's
This
like
shit's
twitching the whole time. He's like going crazy. Like, I really like, I want to fucking kill you. But and so do they. Like, get the fuck out of here.
Shit is crazy over here.
Exactly. So the World Eaters, last we saw, they got fucked by Lorgar because Lorgar was like, "You hear that? I'm hearing the music. You hear the music? We're gonna write a symphony." Uh, and he makes Angron into a demon prince, and all of the World Eaters go crazy. And at
All
one
for the blood
point,
god.
they got him like tied up in like a
In a fucking cage. That's how I imagined it.
yes, I imagine it's in like a stock room somewhere. It's like where they normally keep the coffee. Straight up. And everyone's like, "This guy's fucking nuts." And he's like, "Bring me skulls." And they're like, "What?"
The
This guy's
janitor's like,
asking for skulls.
I'm not gonna that room anymore. That one's weird.
You've got like people like bleeding out of their faces and shit, and all the astropaths are going crazy. And I think the world leaders at one point were like, "Okay, let's go get this guy's skulls because shit's not improving for us."
Something's weird here.
Then we have the word bearers. I'll tell you what, the word bearers are such a frustrating group to read about here because of two characters, and it kind of pissed me off. And I hope they don't go in this direction. But the last time we saw the word bearers, they were fucking over Angron, and then we see them talk about Calth like 37 times, and they're all over the fucking place. Lorgar, like I said, is trying to get Fulgrim in the story, but he also may be trying to betray Horus because he's really good at that shit. He loves betraying people.
Yeah. He's like, huh, well, Horus is useless now. Let's fuck that guy.
But I'm going to talk about a couple characters that are associated with the word bears and why it's been frustrating to read about them. Zardu Layak. You ever heard of Zardu Layak?
Not until this book, and he's weird.
He is very weird.
I'm very confused by his like mask thing.
Well, let's think about this for a second because obviously
Bear?
I'm reading this. I have a really good theory, but it could lead to nothing. So this is a word bearer who's like a top tier apostle, and he has some memory issues, and his face is covered by a skin mask.
I don't think it's skin.
Yeah, it's skin.
Here's
it's
the
like I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it's like a skin mask. When they talk about it, it's like a skin mask that like digs into his face. Anyway, he's wearing a mask. Okay.
He's wearing a mask.
And no one can see his face. Does this remind you of anybody?
Should it?
This dude is definitely fucking Erebus. Dude gets his face cut off by Horus, and then no one sees him. And then all of a sudden, there's this apostle walking around with a mask, and he can't show anyone his face, and he's got like memory issues.
I can see it.
Later on in the book, there's like a line, and we can talk about it in the review. That definitely kind of makes you think, like, who the fuck is this guy? Like, is he supposed to be important? I hope not. I hope he turns out to be Erebus, because at this point, making new characters is obnoxious as shit.
Yeah, but also that wouldn't surprise me because what should you do when you write a new book? Write new characters because fuck it, we don't have enough.
We also have a character that helps the word bears out on a journey through the portal or whatever. Well, they go through the webway in this book. Her name is Actea. She is a girl who is serving the word bearers and is blind.
So just like what's her face that they turned into a
Perpetual. Yeah. And again, at one point in the book, it's highly suggested that like they're like, we have no idea where this girl came from. Like, who are you? I'm like, are we talking about like two characters that already have names right now that like are just playing different characters?
I doubt that that's her because from Betrayer, just because we have that short story where Damon takes her away.
That's in the book Betrayer.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Damon's dead now.
He is. So is most of the Cabal too. So I don't know what the fuck
Yeah,
happened
like
to her. But surely
who the
they didn't
fuck is
just
she?
she didn't just like drop herself off at the word bearers. I think she doesn't like the word bearers anymore. I think the only one she actually liked was Argal Tall, who they killed.
Yeah. Well, you remember in Vulcan Lives when Erebus is like up there, not Erebus, sorry. Narek and what's the guy's name? The Eldar. Eldred.
Yeah, Eldred. Eldred.
They're like going through the Skyring thing to look up all of the perpetuals, and they land on a girl. And Narek is like, "Do we kill that one yet?" And he's like, "No, not that girl. She's on a ship." So it's like, okay, who's that girl? We have two options.
Yeah,
Either it's so frustrating. There's so much going on here. It's like, okay, I'm like pretty sure we
also,
don't
like,
see
how do
Severn
you like
down.
have like a tracking device on all the perpetuals? Like, do they just like emit some like random fucking like thing? It's like, oh yeah, that's a perpetual. I can sniff them.
I don't know, dude, but I'm getting really frustrated
You
with.
smell like you've lived for a few million years.
I'm getting really frustrated with the characters in these stories because, like, when you start thinking about it definitely heavily implies in this book that like that girl is like someone special. Because at one point there is a passage that's like, I looked you up in records. There's no record of any one of your names serving the word bearers. Yada yada yada. Who are you?
But they should all know her. They would all know her face. At least they should. Lorgar should. Lorgar
Maybe.
fucking talk to her.
I don't know, dude. I don't know. But again, like I'm pretty sure this dude's fucking Erebus. So I'm like, what is happening? Like, who are these people? It gets really annoying, honestly. Then you do get some demons. Nakari. Have you met Nakari yet?
No.
Nakari is like an exalted demon, and it's a demon you can play on the tabletop in both Age of Sigmar and in 40k. So Nakari is a demon in both universes, very similar to like Scarbrand, and Be'lakor.
So is it greater demon?
Yeah. Oh, Nakari's scene it's a demon of Slanesh, so it's fucking
I bet it's a good
nasty.
time.
Oh, it's nasty, dude. Like, oh shit. I read it and I was like, that is that is some Graham McNeil writing right
Shove it up
there.
my ass. Come on.
That's like very close to basically what
I'm
was happening.
imagining like it kills things like in South Park, Mr. Slave, where he's always just like shoving things up his ass. It's like they have the competition where he puts like
The
Britney
gerbil.
Spears. The gerbil team, I'm pretty sure he has one with Britney Spears.
Oh my god, that's ridiculous.
Where's
Yeah, so
Priscilla?
Nakari's there. You get some other ones. Amarok is this dude that's talking to Malkador. Not Malkador, sorry, Malagurst. And then you get Shah Ra who's a demon that talks to some Iron Warriors. But Nakari. Nakari was pretty fucking wild.
No, I haven't where I'm at, I have not met any one other than like the main trio at the beginning. So it keeps going through like Malahurst, Lyak, whatever the fuck his name is, and Volk. I just keep getting those three stories.
There are definitely some big surprises in this. Some cast changes, I will say. So I think it did a really good job. I've been very happy with it. The only thing I haven't read is the epilogue because Dylan was like, "Oh, let's do it like 2 minutes before." So now I have like
Okay,
literally
I
two
asked
pages
a
left to
half
read.
an hour. Like, let me finish this chapter.
Just fucking ridiculous, Dylan. So yeah, I don't know. I hope we get answers to a lot of things, but I don't think we're going to, unfortunately.
I mean, that's kind of part of the course.
Yeah, yeah. I plan on we're getting closer to the end, and I was planning on having like at least a couple special episodes before we dive into the siege.
Yep.
To talk about like redo our Primarch rankings, rank every book in the Horus Heresy, like best to worst. Talk
Yeah.
about which ones you can skip, the reading order you should follow, some loose ends that they never tied up.
Yeah, we're supposed to
And
do a special again with the Horus Hour folks.
yeah, should be fun. I think that'd be a good time to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, because I want to see, because they're starting the siege now. I want to see if their Primarch rankings have changed.
Oh, they're starting the siege now. So they've read everything? Or they didn't read
No,
everything
they
yet?
did like seasons and they
Yeah.
like patch books. Are like they didn't really Old Earth, which we thought was super important to read.
Yeah. I'm
So
intrigued as to why they didn't, but I guess we'll see like how Vulcan's story plays out in the siege, if at all. I can see them just absolutely. He plays a part in
yeah,
Fury of Magnus. I know that for sure, but as far as what else he does, I don't fucking know.
you know which one I'm most excited to read? Warhawk. I just want to see Jagatai fuck shit up.
Yeah, I'm excited for Warhawk too. I hope all the books are good. I'm excited for Fury of Magnus. I've heard bad things about it, but I'm actually like kind of pumped for Graham's two short stories, Sons of Selenor and Fury of Magnus. Like,
Yeah.
I think they're gonna be kind of good. And then
Yeah, I feel
yeah,
bad. Like we've
Warhawk.
done a lot of shit on Graham, but he is actually a good writer.
I get very excited for the stuff he writes about. Like this the Selenor storyline, the Sons of Selenor, like those are my favorite Shattered Legions.
Yeah, I think the big thing with him too, like we expect good things, so when it's like not good, we're just like we're more disappointed than we would be. It's like watching your child do something stupid after you told them not to. And it's like, come the fuck
Yeah,
on.
I want to talk about more in the special episodes, but Graham as a writer is definitely a person that has a very specific niche. I think he writes like Greek tragedies amazingly. So like when you think about False Gods, Fulgrim, A Thousand Suns, like they're tragic
Yep.
stories about the downfall of a character who had good intentions. And those those are amazing novels. And then you like get to like things that are completely outside of that realm, like Mechanicum and The Outcast Dead. You're like,
Then you read Intro
and
Exterminatus, and then you and then you never finish it.
yeah, it's a real big issue where like especially when things get really chaosy, I don't think Graham does chaosy very well because
Except
it
for
gets
Slanesh.
so over the top. Yeah, he does like Slaanesh and the Emperor's Children really well, but I think when you have to describe like chaos battles, it gets really hard to write and really hard to read because you just want to say they're undescribable. And I'm like, well, that's your job is to describe it to
Yeah,
me.
I mean, there's not been a lot of good explanations for chaos battles though. Like
He doesn't do it the worst. Like
Master
I'm
Mankind was pretty good, but even then, like,
mess. That was ADB. I think he does. I think he does chaos phenomenally. ADB.
yeah. I mean, I
Um,
think ADB is the best writer of the Horus Heresy so far. Um,
yeah,
I
I
mean,
would agree
Dan
with
does really
that.
good stuff too.
Dan is very phenomenal too. Dan is so consistent. It's nuts.
Yeah.
Like I've never disliked a Dan Abnett book. So Dan has like a
Eh,
huge.
you were okay about Prospero Burns. I don't think you're that high on it though.
It's just because it was a repeat story. I feel like if I read that first, I would like it more. But
Yeah.
it's like after going through Isfan three times, literally three different times, I was like,
God
fuck, I
damn
don't want to read
it.
about the same things again. And then we get Prospero Birds and we get Market Calth and we get all this shit about Isfan 5. And I'm like, stop retelling me the same story from a different point of view.
Yeah, it's the series as a whole definitely suffers from like the vantage point type of deal. Like oh, like we should talk about like the other side of this, but it's like, dude, you guys like finished up the storyline 12
Yeah.
books ago. I don't want to see it again. Like if it was like back to back, at least like it would be okay. But I'd want it to be short, kind of like Flight of Eisenstein was, where it was like, okay, like the
It was
first
kind of
half
short.
is like our point of view of this, and then it's like, okay, up the second half is all new stuff.
I dislike that book, honestly, Vlad Eisenstein,
I know
just
you do.
because of its position. And yeah, I will say, like, and that's another thing too. When we evaluate authors, I do kind of want to do an author ranking, but I want to do it very lightheartedly because I do think all of these authors are good authors. But like
David
when you
Andel's
think
gonna be
about
last.
David Annadel had some interesting moments. Oh, there's a gun on the outside moment in this book too.
Oh
It's pretty
shit.
fucking
Dicks on the
funny.
inside.
I don't think there's a dicks on the inside, but there's definitely guns on the outside. But the thing is, a lot of these authors, it's kind of like pick and choose. Like you look at James Swallow. I'm not a huge fan of James Swallow, but he also wrote Flight of the Eisenstein, which is a repeat of basically the book right before it. And then you compare that to Chris Wright, who blew things out of the park, but all he wrote about was the White
White
Scars,
Scars.
and it was all new. No
Yeah.
repeats,
Hell
nothing
yeah.
being
I'm pretty sure
recovered.
he also does Warhawk, which is also just more White Scars, which
It's just
I'm
White
fine with.
Scars, yeah.
All the White Scar books have been good.
Yeah. And like you
He's had
look
some
at
good short
someone,
stories though too, about not White Scars. I'm pretty sure.
what short story did he do that didn't have
I'll
White
hold on.
Scars?
I'll
I'd
look
have
it
to
up.
look into it. I'd have to look into it because I feel like the two short stories I know that he's done, three. He's done three short stories, and
Yeah,
all
I
of
know he
them have been
did.
White Scars,
Yeah, he did the
Sons, or the whatever it is, where it
yeah.
was about the two White Scars. Did he do
Yeah.
the one with Yusugi, the badass one, where he's like,
Pretty
"That was
sure.
Chris Wright." Okay, and
Okay,
then
let's
there
see.
was
Okay, well he wrote the Sanguinius book.
the Sanguini. Oh, like the
Hmm.
Primarch novel.
Yeah, he does. He's got a few 40K books in here. Hellwinter, which is Space Wolves. Bloodlines, which might be like one of like the random crime ones that 40K does.
Sure.
A Death Guard short story. That looks like a Word Bearer short story.
In 40K or 30K.
Uh, Primarchs is one of the
Okay,
Primarch books. Childs of Chaos.
it doesn't
Um,
really count.
it says Horus Heresy. Oh, he wrote Valdor.
Okay.
Oh,
All right.
he did the metaphysical blades.
Two metaphysical blades. Okay.
Yeah.
It was okay. He definitely excels at the White Scar stuff, I will
Oh,
say.
100%.
Yeah.
Oh, he has a Salamander
So
book too. He has quite a lot of books actually. He also did the Lumen
fair.
Rust Primarch book, and the cons.
Yeah, so I think like Nick Kime, for instance, that's another author that wrote a specific Legion, and everyone gives Nick Kime shit. I'm like, I get why, but you
But the
also have
thing
to
is,
think like,
of Nick Kime's books, the only ones that like weren't like we really liked Vulcan Lives and
yeah,
Old Earth. Deathfire was meh.
kind of shit. I'm not gonna lie to you.
The just the fact that it like constantly repeated and the terrible decisions made into it wasn't very good.
Mm-hmm.
Born of Flame was bad. However,
Flame was very
it's not
bad. It
his
was the
fault
worst book.
that
It's
they
not.
released it as an anthology this late into the series.
With repeats in the novel. And he
Yeah.
also was working with like zombie Iron Hands. So like what are you gonna do? And at the same time, when you compare those to like compare Chris and Nick, right? It's like, okay, yes, Nick wrote shittier books. That is so true. I won't deny it. Like Deathfire and Old Earth are rough.
No,
Not
Old
Old
Earth
Earth.
is good.
Old
Born
Earth
of
is
Flame.
good. Born of Flame are rough. But that still leaves two books. Vulcan Lives is a phenomenal book, and Old Earth, in my opinion, was like just as good, if not better, than the White Scar novels.
I mean,
Um,
I put Old Earth at least top 10, probably top 7.
yeah. So I just think like that. I mean, I think that Nick Kime delivered on novels at almost the same product like level that Chris Wright did. He just didn't do it for all of his novels, but he did it for the same amount that Chris did so far. So it's hard to
Think
rank
about
these
like I'm
guys.
thinking like in my head like in like my top 10 novels. I don't think Dan Abnett made a top 10 novel for me. Oh no, maybe Legion. I might have Legion top 10.
Legion is pretty fucking good. Legion was great. I like Dan Abnett though has never written a book that I Prospero Burns was good.
I don't think it was ever
No
anything lower
Fear.
than a B.
No Fear was great.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think what else did. Oh, I got the list right here. Let me see. I think there might have been one that Dan Abnett did that I was like, I'm not feeling it, but let's find out.
Because there's
Because he
some
did
short stories
Horse
that I
Rising,
was kind of mad about.
Prospero Burns, No Fear. Dan Abnett did The Unremembered Empire. I thought that was good. Like it was a good book.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that one. That's it, actually. So yeah, Dan Abnett, I think like delivered very well. But yeah, you're right. That's what I'm saying. It's like he never made like top 10, like maybe Legion, but he was consistent. Like he never wrote bad books.
Yeah.
Um,
ADB, all his good books
all
too.
good. Just 100% quality, except for the one time where he made a short story that worked backwards. That was weak.
That wasn't fucking around. It had to have been. Like David Andel probably is gonna be the lowest on the list just because like Damnation Pythos was fine and
People give
Runestorm wasn't
DOP
good.
shit. Yeah, Runestorm was way worse than Damnation of Pythos. I would choose
Agreed.
Damnation of Pythos every time over Runestorm.
Yeah.
Uh, it was just so
And
silly,
Damnation
the
of Pythos
concept.
is a better short story than the fucking one in Old Earth. Or not Old Earth, Born of Flame.
Yeah, Damnation of Pythos is like, it's really close. Like, if they made like a couple changes to the way that story was written, it'd be a fucking great book, in my opinion. It'd be a very good like cult novel of all
Yeah.
the fucking Davinites ripping people apart and going crazy, and that would have been really good. It's just when it got really demony at the end and over the top, and there was a giant sword that came out of the ground or some shit. It was like,
We got Ghost Rider.
what is happening right now? It's
Yeah,
on the inside, baby.
that was a novel. But I mean,
Oh
it
jeez.
got a lot of shit and didn't need to get as much shit as it got. I mean, Swallow
Is that
has. I know you don't like James Swallow that much, but like I enjoyed the Gara novel. I know you didn't. I
you're
enjoyed
just
Flight of
such a
Eisenstein. You didn't. I didn't like Nemesis. And Nemesis is bad.
you're
The
such
first
a
half
Knight
of
Errant
Nemesis was good,
fanboy. I don't even want to hear it. Like you just love Garo's dick, dude. That's what it is.
and I would just gobble that shit.
Have you seen Porter Ramos? Have you seen the upgrade that guy made? Magnus can literally make his body whatever he wants. For some reason, you're still goggling over Garo's dick. What's happening?
Trying to
I just
think.
think
I I'm apparently Barry Dagger's really good, so I'm really
I'm
excited for that one.
excited. I'm
Oh, and
excited for
I'm
Barry
pretty sure
Dagger.
James Swallow did Fear to Tread, which was really good.
I do love Fear to Tread. Fear to Tread, in my mind, is
It
kind of
was
underrated.
so awesome.
Yeah. It's kind of ridiculous, but also awesome at the same time. Fucking Calbunda beating the shit out of
Yeah,
Sanguinius.
apparently it's written like a lot of 40K books are, which makes me excited for us to be done with the heresy to read 40K books.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll have to think about that. There's books that I need to read before jumping into more
Same, man, same. But
Warhammer
man,
stuff. But yeah, I'm very excited. I really want to start talking about like all of the all the stuff we want to talk about in those special episodes. I've got a friend that has been working. Dude, this guy's reading them like crazy. It's like
oh, is
crack
he
to
going
him.
crazy now?
Dude, yeah. So he read the first three in like a month. And I was like, holy shit. And he was asking me which one he should read next. I was like, well, don't read Fly to Eisenstein. I told him first thing you should read is Fulcrum. Like because I don't think he's going to read all 54 books. If you're not going to read all 54 books, don't worry about Fly to Eisenstein.
Yeah, because I mean, you find out that Garo made it, so it's kind of like not that important.
Yeah, exactly. And so he read it anyway because he was worried about skipping. He was worried about skipping books. And
Fair.
he's like, oh yeah, I kind of get what you're saying. I'm like, yeah, it doesn't fucking matter. So I had him read Fulcrum. Fucking loved Fulcrum. He messaged me. It's like exactly what happened to us. He messaged me at like 11 o'clock, and he's like, dude, what the fuck?
You get that concert
I'm
scene,
like,
and you're like, dude, I
I'm
have to put
like,
the book down.
I know what you just read. And then I told him I was going through like the different ones. He was like, where should I go from here? I said, well, I would read either Legion, because I think Legion is important to know like why the Alpha Legion turned, and because they show up all the time.
Yeah, and they're
Or
awesome
a
to read
thousand,
about.
yeah, they're great. Or A Thousand Suns, or First Heretic. He was like, all right, I'm gonna read Legion, but after this book, I can't read anymore because I gotta go do this. Like, okay. Red Legion. He was like, dude, that book was fucking awesome. He called me, asked me all these questions about the Cabal and John Grammaticus. He was like, all right, so you think I should read Thousand Suns next? I'm like, yeah. So he just texted me yesterday. It's like Thousand Suns, fucking wild.
I would have him
So
read
I
Prospero Burns.
no, I think the next one I'm gonna have him read is First Heretic.
So I think
Um,
the thing I like about Prospero Burns is you get more Nikea,
yeah,
which
I
I
want him to
think
come
makes
back to it. Like you can come back to it. I think
true.
the idea in my mind is like what I want to do is give him, okay, you have the Thousand Sun storyline, you have the First Heretic storyline. From here, like where do you want to go? Do you want to
Yeah.
read more about the word bearers? Which legion do you want to read about? Because
Well,
our
and if
first
you're first
heretic,
heretic, you got to read Betrayer after that.
that's what I'm saying. Is like if you want to know more about Lorgar or you want to know more about Angron, read Betrayer. If you're like, who the fuck is this Gilliman guy? I got a whole swath of books for you.
Except for Marker Cap, don't give him that.
Don't do that. Yeah. So like I like how awesome would it be if he reads First Heretic? The first scene's Monarchia. I had him the first thing I had him read
Ooh,
more before
actually, if
anything was
he
First Church.
probably don't do Betrayer after first heretic, do No Fear.
Yeah, absolutely. So like the thing is like if he wants to know about Lorgar, no fear's the answer. And like from A Thousand Suns and the fact that he read Legion, he could get into Prospero Burns, then he could get into to Scar's novels. He could pick up. That's the thing is like which of those two directions you want to go in. I have a whole order that I'm going to establish that I'm going to deliver on the podcast when we do the special episode. Like this
Yeah.
is the order
Before
that
we
I
do that,
think you should read the
I'm
books
gonna
in.
write mine out too. We'll see how ours compare.
Yeah, because I think there's a lot of things like you need to know this before going into this, and I think there are books you can absolutely skip, and I'm not going to include them in the ordering list. I'm going to try and get it down to 30 novels in a way that makes sense.
The problem too that sucks is like there's a lot of short stories that are kind of essential. Like I guess you don't have to have them, but man, it flushes out so much. And it's hard to
The
remember what
only
stories those books are in.
only short story that I'm like, you definitely need to read this, in my opinion, is The Last Church. And I made him read that like first. I think like if I was to create, gosh, I'm going into the special stuff that I want to talk about, but if I was to create a Warhammer TV show, it wouldn't start with the first book. Like if I was to do the whole thing in a TV show, Horus Heresy, it wouldn't start with obviously a day horse of the emperor. It might like start with that phrase or whatever, but it wouldn't start with that. It would start with the last church. It would be shorter. And the first thing that would happen after the last church is at the end of the last church, it would describe the emperor would be telling this guy his plan about how he's creating the Primarchs. And the guy would be like, oh, people are going to worship you, yada, yada. Then it would go into like somebody telling about how all the Primarchs would be discovered. And it would be revealed that that was like somebody like in a temple at Monarchia teaching the children of the temple like how the emperor found all the Primarchs and why it is they worship them, yada yada yada. And then it would Monarchia would be the next fucking thing that happens. Then we would probably go to Olenor, I think, would be how that works. And then you would go from there. I think that would be like the coolest way to do it, honestly, because you have like, oh, people will worship you. Monarchia gets blown the fuck up. Lorgar, I'm gonna start some shit, and then it goes to Olenor, where Horus becomes War Master. That would be how I did it.
That'd be cool. I think it'd also be cool to see like things with the Chaos Gods themselves. Like it doesn't have to be like anything like long, just like snippets of them, like Zinch like making like a random plan. Like it should be like a minute, like, oh yeah, we are going to have like this snake is going to be on this planet for 500 years, and he's going to have a fucking purpose then.
I'm gonna put this like fucking statue on this planet called Prospero, and when the statue breaks, all the pieces are gonna make symbols, and it'll allow you to shoot mind bullets. You just have corn over there. What the fuck are you talking about? And he's just like, trust me, it's gonna be a game
it'll
changer.
Make sense.
It's gonna change everything.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
I think
we're about time here.
Yeah, we are definitely off track at a time. So, guys, that is it for us. That is our preview of Slaves to Darkness.
Next week, a little bit more.
Yeah, and more. Next week we'll have our review. Going from there, do we want to do a special after the anthology? Do we just want to knock through these, do a couple specials before we hit the siege?
Yeah, I say we do 2 specials before we hit the siege. And we can fill them both with all kinds of different topics. Maybe we get the Horus Hour guys in for one of them.
Yeah, you just gotta start talking in the fucking Discord with all of us.
You guys have stopped talking. I checked it
because he took.
I was the last person that said anything. I don't even want to hear it.
We're making you wait because you made us wait.
I mean, that's fine. I don't care. But yeah, I think like we're just a few books away, and those I think are going to be really, really good episodes to tune into on YouTube, because we'll probably do like the tier rankings and stuff that.
We'll have visuals.
You'll have to maybe see our faces, which is rough, but it'd be cool.
That would be totally worth it though. Sometimes we're shirtless.
We've been shirtless this whole time, and you guys haven't even fucking seen it.
If you go to our OnlyFans, you will be the only fan. But we will.
You are the only fan. The only fan. We've been rubbing our nipples this whole time on the podcast. No one knows.
Man, it's so hard. Also, this week, Warhammer was on South Park, so check out the latest episode. It was hilarious. Oh,
it's good.
It was good. But there's a scene where Randy is watching Tolkien and Stan play Warhammer, and he's like sitting there staring at him. No, he's Tolkien has Ravengard.
Oh, okay.
But I think Stan might have Mechanicum. It was hard to tell, but Randy's staring at him. He just says like his mouth open, like confused. He goes, "What the fuck are you guys doing? This is stupid." I was like, "Dude, that's like exactly what my wife would say." That's perfect. That's the exact face she makes too.
I swear, like the picture that you showed me from the South Park episode looked like Tolkien was playing with the Black Templars, and I'm like, is this where this is going? Is that going to be a thing? But it's definitely the Black Templars.
I am like 100% positive one of the creators like randomly got into Warhammer recently, because like the first episode there was a Ravengard poster in Tolkien's room. The second episode they were talking about Darktide. Now they're playing miniatures. Like one of them got into it recently. Maybe they just 100%. Are friends of like Henry Cavill. Like, oh, he plays. We should check it out too.
It's
I'm waiting
Sisters
for a
of
Henry Cavill
Battle.
episode.
It's Sisters of Battle versus Black Templars, and that is such a South Park joke, by the way, to make people all right, well, I think that's it for us.
Yes, check out our socials, guys. OnlyFans, Twitter at Heresy Lodge, theheresylodge@gmail.com. Discord, you can find pinned to our Twitter. We are a part of the Pants of Horus Tacticus group. Check that over there. They are discord.gg/Pants of Horus. Check out our merch. We have some cool stuff over there. And that's it. You guys have a good one.